the Country and the City Mouse.
Once there were two mice who were the best of friends. These mice lived miles apart from each other, and they had two completely different lifestyles. One mouse lived in the city, and the other mouse lived in the country. Missing his best friend immensely, the city mouse decided to go and visit his friend in the country. He called his friend and told him he would come to visit him tomorrow. The city mouse arrived at his friend's house by noon. The two friends greeted each other excitedly. As the two friends got reacquainted, the country mouse showed his friend all around the farm and explained what he did each day. As they walked and talked, the country mouse completed his chores for the day. After completing his chores, the country mouse headed to the fields to pick fresh vegetables for their dinner. For dinner, the country mouse served wheat grains, sliced beetroots, acorn muffins, and lemonade. The food was unlike anything the city mouse was used to eating. Not wanting to offend his friend by not eating, the city mouse ate very sparingly, nibbling on only a few things. After the meal, the two friends talked more about their different lifestyles. The city mouse talked about all the fun things he did in the city. The country mouse yawned as he tried to listen. Finally, he told his friend he had to go to bed. He had to be up before dawn to feed the animals. The city mouse had never gone to bed this early, but decided that it would be best to do the same. The country mouse had made what he thought to be for his friend a cozy bed made from plant shrubbery. It was just like the one he slept on. The country mouse slept soundly in his bed while the city mouse tossed and turned all through the night. He was not used to the hard bed and quiet nights. Right before the city mouse was about to leave, he invited his friend to come the following weekend to see him in the city. Being very curious to see how his friend lived, the country mouse gladly accepted. The country mouse drove to the city the next weekend to see his friend. The city was much different from the country. It had lots of tall buildings, and there was hardly any grass or trees to be seen. The city was loud and very scary, and there were too many people rushing to go somewhere. They honked their car horns at others' cars or at people walking. When the country mouse finally reached the city mouse's house, he was quite relieved. The city mouse greeted him warmly. He then escorted his friend to the dining room. On the dining room table were assorted meats, pastries, and delicious cheeses. The country mouse had never seen so many tempting foods before. Just as the country mouse was about to nibble on a dainty bit of pastry, he heard a cat mewing loudly. The cat's footsteps could be heard heading into the room. Fearing for their lives, the two mice scurried to a hiding place, where they laid quietly for a long time, hardly daring to breathe. The cat eventually left after several minutes. Just as the two mice were about to go back to the table to eat, a servant walked into the room, followed by the house dog. The servant began clearing the table and feeding the dog some of the leftover meats.
"Don't worry,"
said the city mouse.
"There is more food in the kitchen. We just have to wait until the cat and dog go to sleep."
When the danger had passed, the country mouse thanked his friend and quickly headed for his home in the country. He missed the country smell, his friends, and the fields of crops. He mostly missed his security. The country mouse called his friend in the city when he got home and told him he was sorry, but the city life was not for him. The city mouse completely understood how his friend felt because the country life was not for him.
He's a country mouse, you see. He is always up at 3. There is so much work to do when you're living on a farm.
He's a city mouse, you see. He can sometimes sleep till 3. There is so much you could do having fun in the city.
Country living is for me.
City living is for me.